Hello and welcome back to Debbie J's Crafting Corner. I'm Debbie and today I've got another project for Crescent Creation. This is actually using one of her digital products for the August 2021 release that is coming out right now. And this is just adorable. You guys know that I am wanting to do some Halloween crafting, so let me show you the kit first and then I will explain a little bit about what I did to create these specific images and what I'm planning on doing with that. So this is one of the kits. This one is called Pumpkin Carving Digital Stamp. So you've got a bunch of you've got 3 different pumpkins, 3 different faces. You've got a pirate hat. I just love it. I think this one is a nose and I think this one is a hat. And then you've got a couple of different eyebrows. So what I did is I went into photos. I cropped each of the little images out. And then I rearranged everything the way that I wanted them on a Word document, where what's real nice is you can see from these big gray squares in the background of this image that she's already removed the background. So that was a major help. For the hat, let me go ahead and show my screen again. For this hat here, what I wound up doing for that piece is I've exported the image, that little hat image, into Paint of all things and filled in the color. And then when I saved it, it wound up having the background again, which is fine. I just put it in on a website called Remove BG, which removes the background, and it took like 2 seconds for me to get a black colored image there. Now the reason I did this is that I want to foil these. So I'm going to do some coloring and foiling with these images. I also went ahead and printed out a bunch of the sentiment. Now all of this is printed out on my laser printer. It's just regular cardstock this time. And then I'm going to, once I get that part done, I'm going to run these through my scan and cut everything out. For that part, I went ahead and created in Inkscape an outline image of the sentiment. So I've got a bubble cut. The reason I did that instead of just sending it through my scan and cut as is that a lot of times when you do that, scan and cut, when it scans an image to cut it out, it would cut out each piece as individual. So I would wind up having 4 cuts for that, and I want it all combined. So I created my own offset in Inkscape, and I've exported that out as NSVG, and then it'll be able to cut perfectly around this as a bubble cut, just like it was done with a matching die. So that is pretty cool. If that's something that you're interested in, let me know, and I can do a future video on just doing the Inkscape part for doing those bubble cuts. I know it's something that not everybody knows how to do or wants to know how to do, so I'm going to leave it up to you guys as to whether or not I do that. Okay, so it took me a little while to decide what foil I want to use. I've got several different colors of toner foil, and that's the type you're going to want to use. It's toner reactive, not hot foil that you would use with like your Glimmer machine or your Gemini foil press. They don't work with this. So the foil that I'm going to be using is actually some that I've got from Blue Bonnet. And in one of the orders that I did, I don't know, a year ago, she gave me some samples. So I'm going to use actually a couple of colors in there because I think they would be perfect for this. So I've got some green and I've got some purple. So I'm going to use a piece of each of those. I went ahead and cut 2 of my pumpkin images out from the page that I printed them. And I'm going to do one of them in green and the other one in purple. And then we're going to add the color. I am going to run it through a second time. I tend to do that because although my printable laminator does get pretty hot, and I'm glad that it does, the toner that I wind up with on my paper is, I don't know, somewhat faded a lot of the time, so there's not quite enough on there for it to get hot enough to adhere really well, I think. What makes toner foiling work is that the toner is basically ground up plastic, and excuse me, when it goes through your laminator, it heats up that toner and it adheres to the foil, which is awesome. But I don't always get enough heat, and I don't have enough toner on these. If I have a better print, which is the 2 that I use this time, were the better of the 4, then it sometimes comes out better, but it's still where I feel the need to have extra heat. So I'm going to run this second one through again, and I'm going to do a trick that I discovered quite by accident. I just decided to try something after I thought about, how this actually works. On one of my last videos, I think it was about a month ago, you probably saw that I took out my heat tool and got my toner foiling to work much better. Now, looking at this, I can tell where the toner is, and it looks like it's covered pretty well. But I want to be on the safe side, so I'm going to heat this up some more. And then, since the other one is finished, I'm going to run this back through my laminator one more time with all the extra heat absorbed into the paper and foil. And I'm just finding I'm getting a much better results when I'm doing it this way. Let me run this one back through the laminator one more time. And while that's going through it, we can take a look and get a quick little glimpse on this one. That looks pretty good. So I like the way that turned out in the green. Okay, so let's see how the purple turns out. Ooh. Here's the green, and then we've got the purple. The coverage looks much better than what I was actually expecting. Okay, so next I'm going to do some coloring on these cute little pumpkins. What I decided to do is just do some simple kind of messy watercolor using my distress inks and just some water. And I am not an expert at this, and there's so many different options that you could do with it. I'm just going to play a little bit and put a little bit of color down and try to, kind of make it a little bit messy and organic. And one reason I'm doing it this way instead of trying to do any smushing is that this is regular cardstock. It is not watercolor paper. You can already tell that it's not absorbing into the paper like watercolor paper would. And the only reason that I needed to use it that way is because my printer does not like printing on watercolor paper. I think those look pretty cute. So now I just need to export my SVG files over to my printer, over to my scan and cut these little guys out. So I cut out all of the pieces. I've got my images all colored up and foiled, and then I also did a purple and a green of that boo sentiment, and I also cut out additional layers using my scan and cut. That's one of the things I like about that. Like, you set it up to cut one thing and you can cut as many of the same exact image as you want. So I'm going to go ahead and just layer these up. The cardstock I used to go through my printer isn't all that thick. It did get a bit warped when I was doing the watercoloring, so I'm putting it on some regular weight, regular cardstock, just to give it a little more heft, and I think it'll feel a lot better on the card when I get done. Still not 100% sure what I'm going to do with this. This image is so cute. I'm thinking of possibly doing some more of these because it turned out so well, and maybe creating some boo bags. So I put one extra layer behind each of my pumpkin trios, and I'm going to put 2 layers of cardstock behind that sentiment. Next, I need to decide on what to put behind my little pumpkins. This week during my live stream, I did some spray backgrounds using some stencils, and these are just so darn cute. A lot of these would work well for this, I think. Even this Starry Night one would look kind of cool too, even with the pumpkins, because of course Halloween at night. But I want to try to do something a little bit different. That one's kind of cool. Actually, that one might work good. That grungy background I think would work well with the purple, because it's got more green, so we've got a little bit of contrast there, so I think I'll use that one. And then this one is also, to me, it looks kind of like blood splatter, and my buddies did make fun of me a little bit about saying that. But that, I think, might look kind of cool behind this green as well. So I think those are the 2 that I'm going to use for these panels. Now, you could do basically any kind of a background that you wanted to. Halloween is perfect time to experiment and play and see how your different products and medium work together. So that's one of the things I absolutely love about Halloween crafting. This is what I think I'm going to do with these guys. So now I just need to trim them down so that they'll fit on my A2 size card base with a little border, and then adhere everything together. And because I love giving my cards a little bit of dimension, I'm going to use my Scotch foam tape behind this. Now, it's not real thick, but it'll give a little bit of a pop behind that inky background. Yeah, and I like showing that little bit of purple there. That looks kind of cool. So I'm going to make sure that that's on that side so it doesn't get covered up by my pumpkins. And I was debating whether or not to add any more dimension to the back of the pumpkins, but I think just having that second layer of cardstock gives it just enough. And I'm letting it hang a little bit over the side of that inked up panel. And now I will place this sentiment up there in that corner. think as a final touch, I do want a few little gems. I do have some purple and some green that will match. I think these gems just are the finishing touch for these cute little cards. And I want to thank Neha for inviting me to do a guest spot for her brand new shop, Crescent Creations. I just love these little digis that she provided to me. I know that you will too. And I absolutely love being able to use foil with my images. It is just too cool. Be sure to go over and check out her website. It's brand spanking new, and she is so excited to get going with that. And I want to thank you for dropping in and watching my video with me today. You guys have a wonderful day, and remember, if I can make it, you can too.